Hello, my name is Shelly Lane. I'm a professor of occupational therapy at the University of Newcastle in Newcastle, Australia. I hold the role of discipline lead in the occupational therapy department there. So sensory processing is a process in the brain where the brain takes in sensory information and synthesizes it from one sensory system to another, integrates it with other kinds of information in the brain, and puts that synthesized and integrated package together to produce some sort of an interaction with the environment. And that interaction could be motor, it could be an emotional interaction, it could be a change in arousal level, but something that shows that you've utilized the sensory input in order to act on the environment. There have been recently quite a few studies looking at one aspect of difficulties with sensory integration, and those studies have focused on a component called sensory modulation disorder. It has received quite a bit of press recently from the perspective of looking at how we best identify it and what it actually looks like from a neurophysiological perspective. And then a little bit on treatment, but probably that's the least of what's been going on in that area. The work that I've done has focused on the neurophysiology of sensory modulation disorder, and it's been a challenging work, but very interesting. Some of the other work that's being done, which I think is having a major impact on the field, have been some recent effectiveness studies. Those studies have focused on sensory integration as the big picture, not just small components, and have been done primarily with kids with autism. And the studies have been showing that when sensory integration is done according to how it was designed, so when it's done in a way that shows fidelity to Ayres' original approaches to sensory integration therapy, and when the outcome measures are carefully chosen to reflect occupational engagement and participation in activities that are important to the individual child, treatment makes a difference. The kids who get sensory integration therapy make better gains in individualized goals than do kids who receive either a wait list, so no therapy, or an alternative therapy, something like a fine motor group. This kind of research has been done using a research design called a randomized controlled trial, which makes it one of the best research designs to look at effectiveness of therapy. The studies are few. There are 3 studies right now that are fairly well designed and have all shown positive outcomes. There are additional studies that have some design flaws, but also have shown positive outcomes. And this is really the first time that we've been able to document therapeutic successes. Like I said, it's still fairly limited to kids with autism, but I'm hoping that this is starting a process now that will continue. The model that my colleague Anita Bundy and I have designed looks at sensory integrative problems with 2 broad categories. One is problems of modulation, and the other is problems that are related to praxis or ideation and planning of motor skills. Modulation problems end up resulting in a number of challenges for the child and the family that include poor sense of self and emotional lability. And for those kinds of concerns, I think teaming up with psychology is very, very useful because they can help with some counseling. We have to always include the parent in any team, and it's particularly true with disorders of sensory integration, whether they're about modulation or praxis. When we start looking at praxis, I think the team is probably broader, and we need to consult at least with physiotherapists, as they call them in Australia. But parents, again, are crucial to that team. Speech and language pathology makes a major impact in terms of looking at praxis problems, because some of the problems that our kids have are problems with praxis around the mouth that get displayed as either difficulties with proper eating or with language production. So I very much believe in an interdisciplinary team, and that one person can't do it all. I would like to thank the members of Occupare for inviting me. I love coming to Colombia. This is my 4th trip here. The people are wonderful. I'm treated like a queen when I come, and I always feel greatly appreciated. So thank you.